It's been almost 3 years since we had a How the Detroit Lions Can Make the Playoffs video. The last time that I did one like this was back in 2022 when the Detroit Lions were 1-6 and they started off so tough. When week 11 got here and the NFL ESPN playoff machine came out, I was doing videos every so often about how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs at 1-6. And for the first time since then, man, we are back here where the Detroit Lions, for the third consecutive weeks, do not hold a playoff spot and are on the outside looking in. They're going to need to win and get some help. So this is going to be the first of many How the Detroit Lions Can Make the Playoffs. We are going to do a Black Friday edition, and then we'll do one at the end of week 13, 14, 15, 16, until there is no more opportunities left. All right. So look, this is what I do. The team is not out of it yet. And until that happens, we're going to keep it moving. I mean, if we make the playoffs, do we go any past the first round, past the divisional round? Who knows? We got to get there first. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. Do I think we're going to win the Super Bowl? No. But hey, we still got 5 weeks of the season left. Why go to the off season when it's long enough? Like, we're going to have enough time, and it's going to be a very, very, very loud offseason if the Detroit Lions don't make the playoffs. Here is my nightmare scenario. The Chicago Bears not only make the playoffs, but put the Detroit Lions out of playoff contention in week 18, and then the LA Rams win the Super Bowl. That is my nightmare scenario. But it might just be what the doctor ordered in order to get Brad Holmes off his hands. That's just the bottom line. And you know what else is crazy is I haven't felt this type of, the air is different, man. I haven't felt this since 2022 when we started 1-6 and we fired Aubrey Pleasant, and we were talking about as Dan and our Dan and Brad, the guys. Like, we haven't felt this in a long time. It feels oddly familiar, but strange at the same time. That's crazy, man. All while still, for me anyway, staying away from SOL. To me, SOL is dead, and I think it's forever going to stay dead. That's my opinion. You could have your own. SOL was more of a culture thing, and I think that those days are gone, but that doesn't mean that you can't have PTSD from it. So here is the current playoff picture, and it's not a good look, Lions fans. So be ready, man. Your team is going to have to do something they have not done in a very long time, which is play from outside the playoffs looking in. Right now, the Rams have the number 1 seed. The Bears, with that win over the Philadelphia Eagles, are now number 2. The Eagles dropped down from 2 to 3, and they also have the tiebreaker over the Detroit Lions. The Buccaneers are 4th. Some squad is going to win from the South. It's either going to be the Bucs or the Carolina Panthers, with the off chance that the Falcons could go on a run. The Seahawks at 5, the Packers at 6, and the 49ers at 7. Outside looking in are the Detroit Lions. No matter what happens this week on Sunday, the Lions cannot get into the playoffs because worst case scenario, the Lions only have 7 wins. Worst case scenario, the team, if the 49ers lose, they're going to have 8. They could have 8 wins, but 5 losses. So they'll still give it to the 49ers because of the number of wins. Packers, they've already played. They beat us. The Seahawks, same scenario. So the Lions are going to conclude week 13 outside of the playoffs. The Cowboys, which we play next week, if the Cowboys beat us, they're going to jump over us. We'll go to 7-6. They will go to 7-5-1. We will then drop down to 9. If there is a possibility, I don't think this is going to happen because they play the LA Rams, but let's just say hypothetically that the Carolina Panthers were to beat the Rams on some off chance, which I highly doubt, then there is a possibility at 7-6 they could jump us. But I want you to see something. This actually dropped during a live stream earlier today. This said 43%. It went down to 42%. So no matter what happens in week 13, the Lions will enter week 14 outside of the playoffs. They will be out of it. Let me see, were any other teams eliminated? Just the Giants still. I'm sure the Titans will be joining them this Sunday. So The Lions, third consecutive week, will end 13 outside of the playoffs. And they're going to have they got a tough schedule. Out of the 5 remaining games, 4 of them are NFC, 2 of them are division. They only got the Pittsburgh Steelers as the AFC game. Each game is important. Remember when you said that the Chiefs game was okay to lose? I bet you wish you could have that back, right? It's crazy. Every game is important in the National Football League. All right, let's take a look at the ESPN playoff machine. And for the first time in 3 years, this is how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs. Last year was how the past 2 years, how the Detroit Lions can get the first seed. That was last year. This year, they're just trying to get in. Let's take a look at the playoff machine. All right, now I've already done, and I'll put this right here not to spoil it. All right, so I've already done week 13. This is how I think things are going to go for the rest of week 13. Again, only NFC teams factor in. So this is how I think the week is going to go. Like I said, no matter what happens this week, the Lions cannot get into the playoffs. Let's go to week 14. I'm going to pick these games like I think they're going to go. I think that the Detroit Lions are going to lose against the Dallas Cowboys. I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to beat the Bears playing at home. I think they're going to win that game. And those are our 2 kind of most important matchups. The San Francisco 49ers are on a bye week. So that means that I don't even think they would drop out. So I didn't even realize that they don't play in week 13. Go to week 15. I think that the LA Rams are going to beat the Detroit Lions. I think that the Chicago Bears are going to beat the Cleveland Browns. And I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to lose to the Denver Broncos. I didn't even know that wasn't selected. Then we're going to go to week 16. Week 16, I think that the Detroit Lions are going to beat the Steelers. I think that I don't know what's going to happen here. I guess I'll pick the Packers to sweep that. And then that is what that's looking like. I'm going to take the Colts to win that game, as you can see. We're going to go to week 17. Week 17, I am going to have the Detroit Lions beat the Minnesota Vikings. Who knows who's going to be starting for the Minnesota Vikings at quarterback? I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to lose to the Baltimore Ravens because the Baltimore Ravens are going to be playing for something. And the Chicago Bears are going to lose to the San Francisco 49ers and Levi. Go to week 18. Week 18, this is where we at? Chicago is going to be hosting Detroit. If Detroit wins that game and it goes just like I thought it would be, that's what the current playoff picture is looking like. And let me make sure we've got all the games selected. Rams 15-2, so they don't lose another game. The 49ers are 11-6. The Philadelphia Eagles are 12-5. The Dallas Cowboys 11-5-1. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be 12-5. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I don't think that's going to happen. But then again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play the Panthers. That could go down depending on Baker Mayfield, how he's playing. The Dolphins could beat them. Here this week, they beat the Bucs are like the one team that I'm not sure about. And if the Detroit Lions, if the Bucs were to like flame out, especially depending on what's happening to Baker, then the Detroit Lions might be able to slide in there somehow. Then you can see the Green Bay Packers are 11-5-1, and the Seattle Seahawks are 12-5. Now, what you will notice is that the Chicago Bears are not in this picture. So even though they're currently 9-2, they wind up ending the season at 10-7, which means that essentially I got them losing their 5 remaining games. So they would lose to us in week 18. They would lose to the San Francisco 49ers in week 17. Week 16, the Green Bay Packers. Week 15, they win that game. So they win They actually drop. What are we at? We are at Chicago is 10-7 is what they would end up. So they would drop 4 out of their last 5, which means that the only one so I don't have them winning another game then. I don't have them winning another game. That means that they drop. So wait a minute. They got to have a win somewhere. Nope, not that year. Not that. Not that. Chicago Bears, not that. Chicago Bears. Okay, so there's their win against the Cleveland Browns. So the Detroit Lions wind up ending the season 10-7. So there's a scenario that 10-7 is not good enough for either team. Now, a lot of things would have to happen around the league in the NFC, but that the Detroit Lions are not in the playoffs. So let me go back to week 13. Week 13 is already over. That's in the books. I don't think that any of these games are going to matter as far as the Rams, that they're going to win that game. All of these games I think are going to go like this. But let's go into week 14. And let's say that we beat the Dallas Cowboys at home. That could also get us in where we could wind up 11-6. But we've already seen a scenario that 10-7 is not good enough. I don't think 10-7 is going to be good enough regardless. I think that the Detroit Lions are going to have to go 4-2. But let's do this. Let me see if I can quickly have a way where 10-7 is good enough. Let's go to week 14, week 13. Let's just say that Arizona winds up upsetting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then in week 14, the Saints wind up. Is it any way that nope, that wouldn't even matter because they got the NFC South, so they're going to win the NFC South. So let's go here and let's do what we were already going to do. So I don't know if there's a 10-7 scenario that the Lions make the playoffs because the Eagles are going to have the tiebreaker over the Lions. I would have to sit down and do it. And there's multiple different ways that you can do this, but the Packers have already swept us. So in this, the way that I have done this, the Chicago Bears basically after they started 0-2. 0-2. They have gone 9-1 over their last 10 games. Over their last 5, they would go 1-4 to wind up 10-7. That's the way that I predicted, but I mean, it could go a multitude of ways. And that's not even me I'm not even being like biased or anything like that. Because I told you, I don't think that the Lions are going to beat, and I'm not even sure about the last game of the season. I'm not. It's going to be early January. We're going to be in Soldier Field, and it could be one of them things where it's like it was with the Green Bay Packers back in 2022. So here's wow, I just thought about that. For the first time in 3 years, we've had to do a how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs. That year was in 2022. That year we started 1-6. Over the last 10 games, we went 8-2. So we wind up 9-8. But heading into that game against the Green Bay Packers, I think both teams were 8-8. We knew that we were eliminated from playoff contention with the Seattle Seahawks win over the Rams. If the Rams would have beat the Seahawks, then the winner of Lions-Packers, that was game 272 of that NFL season, that person would have had the 7th seed. But we lost to the Seahawks early in the season. The Rams couldn't help us. Matthew Stafford was hurt. The Seahawks eliminated us with a win by virtue of the tiebreaker. They wind up 9-8. We wind up putting out the Packers. So I think it was the Seahawks were 9-8. We were 9-8. The Packers were 8-9. We sent Aaron Rodgers packing. But how fitting would that be? That the last time that we were in this situation, we finished 9-8. We just missed the playoffs by half a game. And that's the last time that we've had to make a video about how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs. When the past 2 seasons, it's been how the Detroit Lions can get the first seed. 2024 or 3 was how we can get the first seed. You remember the Dallas Cowboy game. And then 2023 was the Dallas Cowboy game. We wound up with the 3rd seed. And then 2024, we wound up with the 1st seed. And we locked that up. I think it took us to the last game of the season. So we are here already. And there's a multitude of ways. It is not over yet, but it's going to be a very difficult hill to climb. Again, maybe you can run through a scenario. I've seen people in the comment section talk about that they've gone through scenarios, and I don't know if anyone have come up with a 10-7 scenario, but I think it's going to take 11-6 at the very least to get in the playoffs. 11-6. And from my calculations, it looks like, because I always said that the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, or the Green Bay Packers, or the San Francisco 49ers would make the playoffs. In the scenario that I've painted, the Detroit Lions don't make the playoffs, nor do the Chicago Bears. So we shall see. It's nothing like the NFL season, man, especially the month right after Thanksgiving, man. Everything gets real. So the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, at 7-5, they can only really, truly afford to lose one more game, because 3-3 is not, well, they can afford to lose two more. If they drop to Dallas, if they drop to Dallas and the Rams, they have to beat Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Chicago. I am really starting to believe that that's exactly how it's going to go. That we're going to lose to Dallas. We're going to lose to the Rams. We're going to be on our first 3-game losing streak since 2022. Again, going back to 2022, we are going to have to, if you guys remember that 2022 season, it was 3 games left, and we lost that game against the Carolina Panthers. And it was like 3 weeks before the season ended. I think it was week 16. No, week 16. We lost. We should have beat the Carolina Panthers. Were a crappy team, and they ran all over us. That's when they were talking about how frozen the field was. And then we had to win the last two games. So it might be a very similar scenario where if the Lions do drop and they don't split these two, because if we can walk out of Ford Field, second to last home game, with a win over the Dallas Cowboys, that gives us a little bit of breathing room, but we are going to have help. We're going to have help. We're going, and even if that help is beating the Bears the last game of the season, but Green Bay swept us. They have a better record, so we need to be better than them, right? Man, I think it's going to go that we drop 3 in a row, Green Bay, Dallas, LA. We wind up having to win Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago. And it's going to come down to that Chicago game. Man, oh man. I'm trying not to go drift into the offseason. But I will say this. Because we have not seen this in so long, this offseason is going to be something. No matter what happens, if the Lions make a push and they crawl to the playoffs and they make it, unless they make a Super Bowl berth or a NFC Championship game, they have to make a NFC Championship game to break even, in my opinion. That's what they have to do. If they make a Super Bowl, then we got fresh life. If they win, then we are here, right? So a lot of things, but first we got to get there. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. It's kind of depressing, man, not gonna lie. It's been a long time since we've been in this situation. Seems like just like yesterday, though.